This Singapore Grand Prix, held on the street circuit of Marina Bay, is one of the Formula One's most iconic night races, famous for its safety cars and surprises. Singapore always delivers drama. Remember 2018? Hamilton's lap was called the Magic Lap. Then there was the Racing Point drama, where Checo and Ocon crashed. Ocon had to retire. And later in the race, even Checo picked up damage. And 2019, Charles got pole, but Vettel took the win. You know how Ferrari's strategies work.
We don't.
Me? Just hanging around.
Charles, that was the best things we could do. Head down, the race is long.
Yeah, my head is down and it will be down until the race.
And Racing Point messed up again.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Checo retired and even Stroll picked up damage. At this point, they should have skipped Singapore every year. Then in 2022, Sergio Perez showed why he's the king of street circuits. He took the lead from Leclerc in turn 1, and when you count the number of DNFs and lockups, the race was pure chaos. Easily one of the most dramatic races of the year. And by the way, Checo even won the race, despite serving a 5-second penalty after the flag.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
In 2023, Sir Lancelot hit the barrier in Q1. We can never expect him to reach Q2. And by that point, Max had won like 10 races in a row. But in qualifying, both Red Bulls couldn't even make it to Q3. Honestly, it felt good at that time because they were dominating all season. But at the end, Sainz took pole, and in the race, he played it very smart, keeping his former teammate within DRS to help fend off Russell. On the last lap, as legend Ayrton Senna once said,
by being a racing driver means you are racing with other people. And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
if you saw that race, you know the excitement of Red Bull not winning. And in the most recent edition, it turned into a McLaren show, P1 and P3, with plenty of chaos in between. Alright, enough said. 2025 Singapore Grand Prix. Even before the cars went out, the FIA gave a special heat hazard warning. The weather in Singapore was so hot and humid this year that it could have been dangerous for the drivers. Inside the cockpit, it felt like 50 degrees or more. And remember, the race for almost 2 hours. Because of this warning, teams were allowed extra cooling, more hydration, and even medical staff were on standby. In FP1, Aston Martin surprised everyone when Alonso went fastest with 131.1. Leclerc was second and followed by Verstappen. Ferrari looked strong this weekend. Singapore has always been one of their favorite tracks. But the big story was Alex Albon. His car suffered a massive brake failure. Smoke and fire came out of the rear brakes, and his session ended very early. Oscar Piastri also had a frustrating moment. He was on a fast lap when Lewis Hamilton was going slowly ahead of him at turn 1.
Ferrari will invent mirrors one day, I hope.
But the most important session was FP2. Because it was a night session, giving drivers practice for race conditions. George Russell lost control at turn 16 and hit the barrier hard, bringing out a red flag. After that, Lawson also crashed into the wall at turn 17, causing another red flag. And it didn't stop there. Ferrari released Charles from the pits right into the path of Lando. The two cars kissed, and Norris' sprint wing was damaged. McLaren showed good pace, and I think Ferrari didn't really get the positions they deserved because they looked really strong in terms of speed. FP3 wrapped up with Max Verstappen setting the benchmark at 130.1, but Oscar Piastri was right on his tail. Or at the other end, Lawson's tough luck continued with another crash. You got to feel for him. Mistakes keep piling up, and so do the talks about his seat. Hamilton faced an investigation for a possible red flag infringement, but got away without a penalty. Ferrari came into the weekend with high expectations. On paper, this was supposed to be their chance. On track, not quite. George Russell, meanwhile, stole the show in qualifying. After a tricky weekend for Mercedes, he lit up Q3 and put his car on pole. Max Verstappen was forced to settle for second. The pace was there, but his last flying lap was ruined when he got stuck behind Lando.
That's what happens when there's a car in front of you just cruising 2 seconds in front. So that's noted, will be remembered as well.
Who was that? We didn't see that on screen.
Not Oscar.
Okay.
Further back, Lance Stroll couldn't escape his usual qualifying struggles. He failed to get into Q2, but ended up P15. Because Williams... Finally, the starting grid looked something like this. On lap 1, Lando Norris made an aggressive move past Oscar Piastri, which effectively pushed Piastri aside and gained track position. Oscar was not at all happy with that move. He was furious over radio, calling the move very unfair. And we all know who Zach's favorite kid is. But it was a move we should appreciate. Lando got some front wing damage, but it was nothing to worry about. Russell led from start to finish, maintaining control of pace. With a decent gap to Max, which was quite immersive, no mistakes, no major error, a good clean race for Russell. I think Toto won't lose Russell. We might see a contact renewal very soon. Later, Norris was asked by McLaren to allow Piastri to pit first, but Norris declined, opting to pit later. Now, let me explain you what is the importance of lapping in correct time. Let's see what would have happened if Oscar pitted first. Fresh tires are worth 1 or 1.5 seconds per lap early after a stop. If Oscar had boxed first, he could have done an undercut, come out, push hard on new tires, and jump ahead of Norris once he pitted. Norris staying out longer on worn tires meant slower lap times. If Piastri's pit stop was clean, he could have easily gained 3 to 5 seconds. Norris would have had to pit the next lap or risk losing track position. So Oscar likely would have been the leading McLaren. That means Oscar might have come out ahead of both Lando and maybe even challenged Verstappen, depending on timing. So realistically, a P3 or even P2 was possible for Oscar if it stopped first and had a quick pit stop. That is the importance of pitting earlier.
Until we meet again!
Max and Lando had quite a race. The last 10 laps, Lando was tailing Max, and we all know Max won't lose his position so easily. After being disqualified from qualifying, both Williams were permitted to start from the back of the grid. Yet, Sainz got into top 10, which was quite impressive. And Alonso, he had a slow pit stop. He was very furious.
If you speak to me every lap, I will disconnect already.
And fight with Isaac, it was very frustrating to him, as Isaac got some engine problem, yet he was defending Alonso. When it comes to Ferrari, it's always disappointing.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Hamilton had a free pit stop and switched to softs with over 50 seconds to Alonso. Around the same time, Kimi passed Charles for P5, and then Hamilton on fresh softs also overtook Charles, closing in just half a second behind Kimi. But then Hamilton's brakes failed and he started dropping back. By the final corner, Alonso had closed the gap from over 30 seconds down to just 0.4. But somehow, Kimi managed to hold on. Finally, with Norris finishing third and Piastri fourth, McLaren clinched the 2025 Constructors' Championship. This was their 10th constructor title and their second in a row. Clear dominance this year.
Thank you, Daniel.